And now, please join me in welcoming your host for this evening, Janet Law.
I want to take this opportunity now to, of course, introduce Mr. Bob Trask, Reverend Bob Trask, the Reverend Bob Trask. And Bob, as we know, is just a great and wonderful individual, spiritual leader, and of course, so many other things. Bob knows that from his earliest learning from the native elders in New Mexico, he had revealed to him the presence of the Great Spirit. And in the following years, this quest for awareness has led him to many callings. And there's too many to mention. I think maybe over 40 different careers over his life so far. But the most important was that he has always dedicated his life to serving those in the path of their spiritual transformation. With his books being published in 4 languages, he is now mentor to hundreds of thousands of people in over 13 countries and beyond. Bob Trass joins us this evening with his class based on the book by Dr. Joe Dispenza entitled, You Are the Placebo. So we welcome you, Bob. Glad you're here, and we can hardly wait to hear what you have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. And thank you for being here with me tonight. I feel so honored that you've dedicated your time to come and join me in this quest, this wonderful journey of discovery. Joe Dispenza is one of the great spiritual and scientific masters of our age, and we're so honored to be able to use his materials. In fact, I called his publisher to make sure that they would be okay with us using his book in this class, and they said, please do, so we're good. I'd like to start off tonight with a meditation, because I'd like for us to all get into the same rhythm, if you will. So if you will, just get in a comfortable position with your feet flat on the floor, your shoulders not hunched up, and your body relaxed. And close your eyes, if you will. Let's just go into a place of peace. You know where it is. It's deep inside of you. That tiny, beautiful blue light that never goes out. Allow that light to have all of your focus. And if you will, breathe slowly and deeply in and out, not labored breathing, soft, gentle breathing, in and out. And as you do that, breathe that light up and down through the chakras in your body, up and down, from your base chakra, down at the bottom of your tailbone, up to the top of your head. Just breathe that blue light, that little glowing blue light, up and down, gently with your breathing. And the next time that blue light gets to the top of your head, will you please just keep it there? It's in that soft spot at the top of your head. When you were an infant, the bones of your skull hadn't come together, and there was a soft spot that was like a spiritual umbilical cord back into Holy Spirit. Let's let that spot be open again. And that blue light is expanding now. And it's occupying the whole top of your head. You can feel it there. Very gently, it's rising above the top of your head. Just be focused on the light just above the top of your head. And stay in that place, the place we call your higher mind. And hear my voice in that place, in the top of, in your higher mind, not in your ears, but in your higher mind. Hear my voice. Tonight, we're going to take a journey. We're going to leave behind our stultifying and limited belief systems and go where nobody has ever gone before. We're going on a journey through time and space. To the beautiful presence of Holy Spirit, of the great creative mind and consciousness. So I'll be quiet for a bit and ask you to just stay in that higher mind and feel yourself being loved and blessed by the universe and by the divine presence. Thank you, my dear friend. At your own pace, come on back to us, but bring with you that beautiful presence, that beautiful feeling. So if you're back now, we'll begin. I want you to know that there's going to be 12 classes. They're going to be broken into 3 4-week sessions. And each class is going to be one of the chapters of Joe's book, Are the Placebo. And each of those chapters, every week, we will read. And then when we come back together, we'll discuss them. It's kind of like a book club on steroids. It's way beyond anything that anybody's ever done before. We're going to read the chapter, and I'm going to give you an assignment of something I want you to come away with from the chapter. And then we're going to dig into that, and we're going to open up the great vaults of our own consciousnesses, and we're going to become our own teachers. Because I can tell you, as Janet said, having taught hundreds of thousands of people around the world, one of the things that I've always learned is that when I'm talking to people and I'm telling them a really profound truth, this is what I see. Why are they nodding? They're nodding because they already know it. I'm not here to teach you, I'm here to remind you. I'm just going to remind you of the great wealth of wisdom that dwells inside of you already. So we're going to use the chapters of Joe's book to crank open the doors and then let the light flood out. I'm going to stop just for a minute and ask you if you have any questions and questions about housekeeping about times we start, about money, about the book, about the class, about my expectations of you. Any questions?
We have some happy campers, Bob.
That's good. That's good.
Go
So-
ahead, Martin.
Go ahead.
So I have a question about the book. Were we supposed to buy it in advance of this course?
Well, yeah, you really were.
Okay.
And I'm sorry you didn't know that.
I didn't, but
This
I
is-
do know the book. I just, I don't have it. But I could probably, Amazon would probably help me out.
Amazon has it, and I'm sure the other bookstores have it.
Okay,
It won't be hard to get.
okay. That's probably my error. I just didn't notice that.
Our local bookstore, Banyan Books, is also a really good choice
Right.
to purchase that, and also available on Kindle. Thank you, Margaret.
Thanks.
Excellent. So I'm going to kick off. Are there any other questions?
Not now.
Okay.
Just a reminder, if anybody would like to ask a question at any point during the evening, you will need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Sometimes we see that we're just all watching silent movies. I'm going to start off by just talking about placebos a little bit. And I know that you're not uneducated regarding placebos. I know that you understand what placebos are and how they work. They've been scientifically found to release endorphins in the brain. And that's the same thing that morphine does, or is designed to do. And most scientists question whether or not the mind can actually heal things like cancer. But then on the other hand, there are things called spontaneous healing and spontaneous remission that's not scientifically understood. So there's something going on there. Joe Dispenza decided he'd find out what it is, and he did an enormous amount of research, scientific research, spiritual research, psychological research, to find out exactly what goes on with the action of a placebo. In Germany, and you'll read this later, more than 1,000 patients with chronic back pain were put into 3 groups for testing. And the first group number 1, got acupuncture, good acupuncture by good acupuncturists. Group number 2 got acupuncture also, but it was fake acupuncture. The needles weren't put in far enough, and they weren't put in on the meridians. It was just fake. The people had no way of knowing that was what was going on, but it was fake. And group number 3 got the standard medical care for back pain. They got physiotherapy and exercise and pain meds, and they got the whole works. And at the end of the test, when they went back and evaluated, they found the most astounding thing. Group 1 and 2, remember, that's the first one got acupuncture, the second one got fake acupuncture. Group 1 and 2 had exactly the same results. Exactly. Group number 3, the ones who got the regular, typical medical care, group number 3 didn't do even half as well as group 1 and 2. So group 1 and 2 were largely operating on placebos, weren't they? Like there's no question that the acupuncture might have done some good, but it didn't do any better than the fake acupuncture. And still, the fake acupuncture and the acupuncture were both twice as effective. as the standard medical. So what's going on there? What's going on? Placebo, I think, is another way of saying belief power, that you believe something to be true. You probably know that tonight we have a debate going on down here in the United States, and we have Kamala Harris, who is the proposed new vice president after the election, and we have Vice President Pence, and the two of them are debating over how the country should be run. The truth of it is that there are millions and millions and millions of people on both sides. There are people, millions and millions of people, who believe that Donald Trump is the worst thing that ever happened to America and to the world. There are millions, tens and tens of millions of good, solid, highly educated, intelligent United States citizens that not only vote for him, but that back him and that do everything they can to make sure he gets elected. Belief systems are so powerful. And my question is, to what degree is your belief system running your life? 95% of the thoughts we think and the beliefs that we have and our opinions, 95% come from our subconscious minds. Not from our thinking, not from rational, logistical, critical thinking, from our subconscious minds, that dead library where all of our past experiences are stored. So someone, I hope I haven't used this example before, but it's such a strong one. And if it has, just bear with me. This was such a strong indicator to me of how belief systems work. There was a little girl, 4 years old, out playing in her front yard. And there was a white picket fence around the yard. And she was out playing with her doll and having a good time. And a man came down the street with the German police dog. The man was tall and thin, and he had a pencil-lined mustache and a grim kind of expression. And when the dog got close to the gate and saw the little girl, it jumped up on the gate and started barking and growling, and it terrified her. She thought it was going to come over the fence and eat her. And she fell down and she became paralyzed. She wet her pants. Her mother came out and took her in. One incident, when she was just a tiny child. 30 years later, she's at a baseball game where her daughter is playing softball, not some baseball, softball. And her daughter's up at bat. And she looks over, and coming down the baseline, inside of the park, coming down the baseline, the third baseline toward home plate, is a tall, thin man wearing that kind of hat with a German police dog on a leash. She is out of her seat, down there over the fence, knocking the guy to the ground, jerking on the dog, and everybody's going, what the hell's going on with this lady? She's nuts. But you see, that belief system is still in there, and it's still running a part of her life. And you and I have those belief systems that are running parts of our lives. In this course, what we're trying to do is harness those belief systems, find out what they are and harness them and turn them to our good. That if a belief system in a placebo can work, then we become our own placebos. You know that if somebody has a headache or an injury or something, and a doctor, this is not for all people, but this is for at least 30% of people. If he gives them a sugar pill and says, this is a placebo, this is not medicine, but this is a placebo, and it might make you feel better, the headaches go away for a lot of people, for like 30% of the people. So your belief system is what we're working on here. And my belief system, what do we believe that serves us, and what do we believe that doesn't serve us? And have the courage, and it takes courage, to sort those two out, to separate those two out. Because you see, our belief system, our subconscious mind, is our identity. That's who we think we are. Like if somebody says to you, "Who are you?" How will you answer? Will you say your name or your gender or perhaps your career? Or those are just labels. None of those are you. Those are all the voicings of your belief system, the voicings of your subconscious mind. So what you and I need to do now during this course, real wake up time in this course, is really look at what we believe about everything and question it. And don't believe everything that we think. Don't believe all of our own opinions. Always be willing to ask, what if it was different? What if that's not really true? Because that's the way we're going to get to the place where the placebo will work for us and we'll be able to help other people through this work. So all people don't react the same to placebos. They don't. I mean, you'll find that out in the first or second chapter of the book, that there's a big difference in how some people react. And we want to make sure that we're the ones that do react. So there's another thing that's called what I call cult mentality. A cult mentality. Like down in the southeastern part of the United States, there are some churches, I think they're in the Appalachians, there are some churches where the ministers bring out these venomous snakes, rattlesnakes, and other poisonous vipers, copperheads, and they hang them around their necks, and they hold them, and they plant them, and they touch them, and all this time they're doing these prayers that, they got something out of the Bible somewhere that they can tame the serpents, and once in a while one of them gets bitten. Many times when they get bit, there's no effect. Sometimes when they get bit, they die. Sometimes they get hospitalized, but that's very rare. That's a cult mentality. It's the same kind of cult mentality that's going on for a lot of people in the United States right now. So a cult mentality, cult is actually the base word for culture, isn't it? So when we're talking about a cult mentality, we could say that unity is a cult, and that Mother Fillmore started a cult mentality. Well, I'd be okay with that. I'd buy that. It's darn good. It's a darn good cult mentality. It's one of healing and love and allowance and companionship and family. It's a good cult mentality, and that's a cult that can be good for us. So, but there's a placebo inside of all cults. And once again, we're just trying to look at all of this objectively and make sure that we're not getting sucked into a vortex somewhere. Whether it's a social club or a bridge party or whatever it is, we to make sure that we're looking at what we believe and knowing that we are not our beliefs. So I'm going to shut up now for a little while because I'd like for us to talk. I'd like for us to have a discussion. So while I was giving that little soapbox, certainly you had some thoughts or some questions or some agreements or disagreements, and I'd like to hear them now. So please unmute yourself and ask me a question or tell me something that you know. Oh, and incidentally, I'm patient. I can wait. I guess I'm just going to have to call on Barbara. But Barbara, you have to unmute yourself, sweetheart. You're still muted.
Down in the bottom corner, left-hand corner, Barb, you'll see.
Yeah, I got it. Thank
Okay.
you.
There
It
you are.
said on my, it said the host is not allowing me to unmute myself, but I think that was a lie.
It was a lie. Don't believe it.
Well, I've just started to read the book. You know, I've had it for about 7 years, but I've just started to read it. I do this, I buy books and put them away, and then eventually I read them. But it really excites me, the idea that we can make changes that will improve us health-wise. And I'm very hopeful because I think all of us, myself for sure, can make improvements health-wise.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we are going to be applying this with exercises.
Yes.
Okay, great.
And some laborious homework.
Ooh,
You're going to have to go out into the city and hold people's hands and heal them.
I'll start with my cat.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Question? Thoughts?
Might not be the best idea in COVID times to go out and hold
That's
strangers'
true.
hands.
That's
We
true.
might have problems on our side. But I read the book several years ago, but of course I won't remember any details. So I guess I'll have to get a copy again because I think I just borrowed that one. But I'm happy to say that healing definitely works. I feel a lot healthier now than I did 10 or 15 years ago. So I know it's possible to get better, not older.
Luta, how much of that has to do with your attitude?
I think a lot of it is just in understanding who we are on a deeper level, that I'm not my body, I'm not identified in this time space continuum as much as I am with my awareness of being itself.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Bob, I'd like to say that when you talked about the placebo effect, it reminded me of some of the older examples of sports teams that visualized playing a game, whether it's basketball or whatever, and others that actually went through some of the practices and there was almost no difference. So it reminded me of that as the placebo effect that you were talking about. Wow,
that's great, Victor. That's exactly right. Thank you. Perfect example. I'm a big sports nut, so I really relate to that. There was a test done in a college somewhere. I don't remember where or even when, but a group of people who had never played basketball before, men and women, were assigned to play basketball for 15 minutes a day, each day. One group went out on the court and shot the ball for 15 minutes. The other group sat and visualized the ball going through the hoop and them shooting the ball through the hoop for 15 minutes every day. After 30 days, they put the two groups together. Their results were the same. The group that had never shot the ball shot it as well as those who had been practicing 15 minutes a day for 30 days. The mind power is incredible.
Bob, I just would add to that there have been other placebo trials, one in which people visualized lifting weights, and they actually grew in their strength and the size of their muscles. And there was also an article recently in Wired magazine about the growing strength of placebos. Literally across globally, the population, the placebo effect is strengthening to the point that the pharmaceutical companies are now lobbying to have the requirement to beat placebos removed, because it's getting harder and harder to make drugs that can compete with the placebos.
Thank you, Randy.
Bob, I have a question for you. It's Margaret.
Hi, Margaret.
Hi. I trained as an energy healer, and I learned to trust myself that I could help somebody with a health issue, and in some cases, really make big change, help the person make really significant changes in their health issue. But I have been unsuccessful with my own self, and so I'm betwixt and between. I know it's real, I know it can work, but somehow I am not able to do it for me. So I'm hoping that might be something we could talk about, or I might be able to move past that, whatever it is.
Thank you, Margaret. I have a feeling that you're not alone here tonight. I have a feeling that if I asked for a show of hands, we would get a whole bunch of people who would say that it's easier for them to heal someone else than it is themselves.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Here's my thought on that. Several thoughts. One is that we have our own history, our own background, our own parental voice inside of us that's judging us all the time. And part of that parental voice is telling us that we're not worthy, that we don't deserve certain things. So if you get the flu, then, and you say, well, I've been able to put my hands on someone else, pour my light into them and make them better. Why can't I do that to me? Part of that reason may be that you don't know the history of that other person. So it doesn't stop the flow of light from you.
Yes, it's true.
But you are in doubt from the beginning, from the time you begin. You're in doubt that this will work for you because, after all, it's you.
It's true. I'm confident about the other person. I'm confident in myself and in the other person. But I'm not confident about me.
The other thing is this. When Jesus was asked about commandments, the 10 commandments, and he said, I give you a greater commandment still, and that's that you should love the Lord your God with your whole heart, your whole mind, and your whole will, and love your neighbor as yourself. When he said it, love your neighbor as yourself, everybody thought he meant love your neighbor as you would love yourself. No, he meant what he said, love your neighbor as yourself, because your neighbor is yourself. We are just one person in multiple incarnations. Now, all of you are looking at Bob Trask down in Bellingham, Washington, and you all see him as somebody different. But I'm not somebody different. I have a different body, different voice, different mind, different brain, different life. But before and after this life, I am you. Eternally and always, we are one. We are the same. I am you in a different incarnation. So when it comes to healing, it's easy for me to heal you because I can pull the light through me from Holy Spirit as a channel through me into you. And you can believe that it's coming and it's powerful and it's flowing and touching and it's invigorating and enriching and uplifting all of your cells. And you're getting better. But I am the channel that flows the light through. I'm not the channel. I'm not holding the light. It's not my light.
Right.
I'm the channel of the light. So I need you to heal me. I need you to help me. We need to heal each other, to forgive each other. That's the other thing. Jesus said to this guy was, really down and out and sick, leprosy, or I can't remember whatever he said, your sins are forgiven. And the guy got up and walked away. And the Pharisee said, who are you to forgive sins? And he said, what's the difference, I say, if you're healed or if your sins are forgiven? It's the same thing. In the Lord's Prayer, we learn that we are forgiven as we forgive each other.
Mhm.
And we are healed as we heal each other.
Hmm.
A dear friend of mine was dying of cancer. She wasn't a real strong lady. She didn't have really strong beliefs. And I went to her and she was in bed and it was in Southern California, sunny day, bright sunny window off to the side, room filled with light. She had a quilt over her. And I said, well, how long do you think you have? And she said, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 weeks. And I said, what will you do for those 2 or 3 weeks? And she said, I'll just kind of lay here and die, I guess. And I said, well, you know, there's a lot of little kids in the hospital that I could get you the stuff and you could sew together these little dolls that we could take to the kids in the hospital. And they would be so excited by that. She said, no, I'm too tired. I don't feel like doing that. And that was okay. It was all right. But you see, she passed up an opportunity to have the light flow through her.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we must never do that. So when you feel really crummy, it's time to start healing somebody. And that's placebo, isn't it? I'm not talking about medicine. I'm talking about getting a belief system that says, I am the light and I bring the light through me. More questions? This is how we grow. This is how we learn. Dare to ask a question. No, but if you have a foolish question, if you have one of those dumb questions, that's the one I want to hear. Step up.
I like that, Bob. You are the voice. Who's going to step up?
Bob, it's Robert talking.
Hi, Robert.
I went through some operations for cancer, and I never doubted myself or doubted my surgeon. And I don't know exactly why. I think it had a lot to do with my surgeon as a person, but I never doubted. And even though things went wrong, severely wrong, I still didn't doubt him. And it all turned out. So that's maybe, is that a placebo?
Yes, of course it is. We're going to learn later in the book about placebos working in the opposite direction. We're going to learn later in the book about how you can actually be resistant to placebos. But very, very surely that's a placebo, Robert.
Thank you, Bob.
Bob, I'm thinking, I haven't read this book, You Are the Placebo. I didn't know we had to get it either, but I have read one called The Untethered Soul, and it reminds me of getting out of your own way with some of the constant chatter that goes on in the mind about who you are, what your life is all about, and what your health situation. And it's been a real eye-opener for me, and just learning to be more mindful and not follow those pathways of thought patterns. So I wonder if You Are the Placebo has something to do with that.
Yeah, thank you, Victor. It really does have something to do with that. And I'll tell you that that mind chatter that you're talking about, I have a friend that I'm always trying to get him to meditate. And he said, my brain is like a can of BBs, and you shake the can of BBs, that's what's going on in my head when I'm trying to meditate. But one of the things that we're going to get to during this, and this is a part of this class. And I love the Untethered Soul. It's a beautiful book, and that rattling around in mind, that mind chatter, that's constant. That's constant in everyone. Everyone, but people think that meditation is this art form, this skill. Like, you're a good meditator. I'm a great meditator. This person's been meditating for 15 years. He's a really good meditator. There's no such thing as a good meditator. When you start to meditate and you're trying to hold a thought, one thought or one mantra or one vision in your mind, and not have all of that mind chatter going on, and you're trying to do that, and you try to do that for 15 minutes, you just meditated for 15 minutes. And if your brain is like a can of BB being shaken, you're still meditating. And meditation goes up and down too. Over the years, you can be meditating and you get into this incredible deep space where you're way out somewhere in the void, and you have a hard time coming back, and the rest of the day you go around like you're a little bit stoned. And then there's other times when you can't even get into meditation. But there's a keeper at the door. The keeper at the door of the sanctuary called meditation. And the keeper, when you come up to the door, the keeper says, "Are you clean?" Which means, do you have a lot of guilt and resentment? And are you pissed off about something? And you're angry about something, or you're feeling guilty or resentful, or you're really worried, or you're being you find yourself coughing a little and you're wondering if you have COVID, and you got all that stuff going on. If you have that stuff, then this is not going to do you any good. It says in the scriptures that if you come with your offering to the altar and you want your offering to be accepted, and you have a brother that you're unhappy with or angry with, then leave your offering at the altar, go back and clean things up with your brother, and come back and your offering will be accepted. So getting to the place where we can be clean is being in constant forgiveness all day, constant forgiveness. I'm going to jump way ahead in this class, and I should do it. I started to say I probably shouldn't, but I should do it. It's not in the class anyway, but it's something that I would eventually talk to you about. And that's that I have a mantra, a meditation mantra. I have a whole bunch of affirmations. God, I've got a ton of affirmations, and I use them like bandages. Like this, I need this size affirmation. No, I need this one here. This is the one I need. All is good, all is God, all is God. I'm a good and worthy man, and I'm totally healthy. I'm a patient, loving man. I mean, I got a million of them. But this one thing that I'm doing, which has changed my life, is about being right here, right now. And that's the thing we have the most trouble with. To be right here, right now, in this place. All the great masters have talked to us about how important that is. And yet very, very few teachers talk about it. So what I say is, I am right here, right now, and I am filled with love and forgiveness. I am right here, right now, and I'm filled with love and forgiveness. Now, you might say, well, I don't even need anybody to forgive. I don't have any forgiveness to do. But if you say that, you find that there are some old scars deep inside that you don't even notice are there anymore, that start healing over. I'm right here, right now, and I'm filled with love and forgiveness. Every night when I go to sleep, I do that. Now I have a physical problem in that my legs go into really violent and painful muscular spasms. You haven't known that, but that's just what's going on with Bob Trask. And so they've discovered that there's some real problems in my cervical spine. So on the 4th of November, I'm going in to have surgery on my spine to get that corrected. So between now and then, I'm awake most of the night. And when I'm awake most of the night, what can I do? I can sit on the edge of the bed with my head in my hands and go, oh God, why me? Geez, I can't stand this. I'm sleepy and I can't say. Or I can say, I am right here, right now, and I'm filled with love and forgiveness. Forgiving my body, forgiving myself, forgiving. And as I forgive, then I'm forgiven. And I'm back home. So if that's helpful to you, there it is. And they're stunned. They're absolutely stunned. No one can speak.
Just wanting to send you love. And I was going to mention magnesium citrate, but I guess your issues are probably beyond that. But if you're not taking magnesium citrate, definitely include that in your nighttime routine.
Thank you. I am taking it. I am.
Okay,
And
at least 450 milligrams or whatever units it comes in.
This is interesting in that my leg, one leg and then the other leg goes straight out and twists around in a knot, and my toes bend back up toward my knee. And it's interesting. The pain is interesting. And it only lasts for about 5 seconds, but it happens every 20 seconds. So but you know what? Here's the good news. And this is really good news. This is really good news. I'm really learning about me. I'm learning about my spirituality. I'm learning about my trust for Holy Spirit. I'm learning about my trust for the world, for the universe, for my body. I'm learning that if I can keep a great attitude and keep believing and keep laughing and smiling and keep giving my love away, that I'm going to be okay. I know that. And you know, I think that's what we need to teach people. And if you're in this class, incidentally, you're in this class because you're a teacher. You're not here by accident. You were called to be here. You were called to be here. You have a mission in life. And part of the steps of your mission was to be in this class and maybe discover some things, but also maybe teach some things. So here's what we're going to do. Any more questions?
Bob, did you ever meet a placebo you didn't like?
I'm sorry.
Did you ever meet a placebo you didn't love?
Yes.
Come on.
No, that's a great question. But I do want to say this about this though, and that's that, you know, because of the strong belief systems that we have, we turn away solutions constantly. There are answers to our problems. In fact, problems come in a package. Each problem comes in a cellophane package. And if you just tear the package open and grab out the problem, you need to look more carefully because in every package, the solution is also there. You just have to own the problem and hold it, and it solves itself. But a lot of times we have illnesses. Oh my goodness. I'm thinking of a guy right now. Oh, guy is so ill. He's in such bad shape, but he's angry, he's belligerent, and he doesn't want anybody touching him, nobody getting near him. I'm sick and tired of you people. And so, you know, there's some placebos he doesn't like. Okay, my friends, we're going to go into a breakout room. And in the breakout room, I have a thing that I want you to do. There's going to be several of you in each room. I want you to take turns. Make sure that you don't let anybody hog all the time, but take turns. Make sure that everybody gets a chance to talk and discuss this And what I want you to discuss is your experience during your life with mind power. Now, think about that for just a minute, what I'm asking you.
I can't find myself.
Mind power. Did you think of someone and then they called you? I'll give you an example. My wife Mary and I were going to the movie, and on our way to the movie, for some crazy reason, I was telling her about a girl named Kathy Shea that I used to go out with when I lived in San Francisco. We were so close. I loved her so much, and I still loved her, and I still love her. She's a great, great friend. And I was telling Mary, God, I wish you could meet Kathy. She is such a great person. She said, where is she? She said, I said, I haven't seen her in 35 years. She's probably married. I don't know where. So we went to see a movie, and the movie we saw was The Outsider. And at the end of the movie, when the credits came up, it said associate producer or associate director, Kathy Shea. And I said, look at that, look at that, look at that. It looks like, see, Kathy Shea. Of course, it isn't Kathy Shea, but you know, there's a name. When I got home, there was a message on the phone from Kathy Shea. There was a message on the phone from Kathy Shea. And I called back and I said, I can't believe that you're calling. I was just thinking about you today. She said, well, I haven't been thinking about you for a long time, but I just started thinking about you today. She's in Florida. I'm in Bellingham, Washington. And I said, I just saw a movie called The Outsider. She said, yeah, I helped to direct that. All of that happened through mind power, the power of our minds to reach beyond the limits that we put on them and touch other people and heal people and advise people. So I want you to think about your life, and I want you to have a powerful and colorful conversation about mind power in your breakout rooms. Can you do that? Thank you.